They say a man can conquer kingdoms, lead armies, amass wealth, and yet lose to himself in a single moment. That moment is anger. Anger is not a small intruder. It is a wildfire. It begins with a single spark, a careless word, a minor inconvenience, and then it grows. It spreads from your chest to your head, from your head to your words, until you look back and realize you've burned a bridge you may never cross again. The tragedy is, most people don't even see it coming. They call it just how I am, or I couldn't help it. But the truth, anger is not who you are. It's who you become when you forget who you are. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled the greatest empire of his time, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is not a video about suppressing anger until you explode. This is about transforming it, turning the force that once controlled you into something you command. By the end of this journey, you will not simply resist anger, you will be untouchable in the face of it. If mastering yourself is more important to you than conquering others. Subscribe now, and let's walk together into the art of never being angry again. The first spark. It always starts small. The driver who cuts you off, the coworker who interrupts you mid-sentence, the slow barista on a Monday morning. The spark is almost nothing, but the mind doesn't treat it as nothing. We replay it, we narrate it, we add our own soundtrack of judgment and insult. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." The thing itself, being cut off in traffic, is over in seconds. But in our minds, we pour gasoline on it. We keep the fire alive by telling ourselves the same story over and over. They disrespected me. They don't care about anyone else. I can't believe they did that. This is the first truth about anger. It's not the spark, it's the fuel. And we are the ones holding the can. But if the spark is small, why do we so often let it burn down the forest? The answer lies in how anger disguises itself. Why anger feels so powerful? Anger wears the mask of strength. Your voice rises, your chest swells, your adrenaline pumps. You feel like you could take on the world. But it's a trick. Anger doesn't make you stronger. It makes you reckless. It's like being handed a loaded weapon while blindfolded. In moments of rage, the amygdala, the primitive part of the brain, takes over. It floods you with fight-or-flight chemicals, while the prefrontal cortex, the rational decision maker, goes offline. This is why people say things they regret. This is why they make decisions that ruin careers, relationships, even lives. It feels like control, but it's the exact opposite. The fire feels warm until it burns you. If anger steals our clarity, why do we keep answering when it knocks? The answer lies deep in our evolutionary wiring, the ancient roots of rage. Imagine living 100,000 years ago. You hear a rustle in the bushes, your child is crying, a stranger approaches your camp. In those moments, anger wasn't a social problem, it was survival. It made you stand taller, shout louder, and fight harder. Our ancestors passed down this reaction because those who could defend quickly lived. But now, your predators are traffic, bills, and tweets. And yet your nervous system still reacts as if a tiger is about to pounce. Lao Tzu once said, "The best fighter is never angry. To master anger, we must respect it as an ancient tool, then learn when to leave it in the sheath. And to do that, we must understand what anger truly is beneath the surface." Anger, the mask of fear. Every flash of anger hides a quieter truth. Fear. Fear of being disrespected. Fear of being overlooked. Fear of losing control. Anger is the bodyguard we send out to protect us from the deeper wound. But like a reckless bodyguard, it can attack the wrong people, at the wrong time, in the wrong way. When you strip away the shouting, the tension, the clenched fists, you find fear and sometimes sadness. The warrior doesn't ignore fear. He acknowledges it, then acts from clarity, not from panic. But fear doesn't grow in every soil. It needs a specific condition to thrive. Attachment. The real enemy. Attachment. Buddha warned, attachment is the root of suffering. We become angry when reality refuses to follow our script. When we are attached to a certain outcome, a promotion, an apology, a perfect morning, and reality delivers something else. Attachments are invisible chains. They bind us to how things should be, and when those chains are yanked, we react. Freedom is loosening that grip, not by caring less, but by refusing to hinge your peace on anything outside your control. Hook. And loosening that grip doesn't make you weak, it makes you disciplined. The warrior's discipline. In the martial arts, the greatest masters can stand in a storm of strikes and remain calm. They don't tense with every feint, they respond only to the real threat. The same is true emotionally. Most people flinch at every insult, every inconvenience. The warrior chooses his battles, and most of them aren't worth fighting. When you carry discipline, people sense it. They know you cannot be baited like others. And that alone is power. But discipline begins with one skill above all, the pause, the sacred pause. Before every reaction, there is a space. It might be 1 second, it might be half, but it's there. In that space lives the power to decide. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. If a man facing that kind of suffering could choose his response, surely we can in traffic, in meetings, in petty arguments. The pause is the doorway, but what you do after you step through determines whether anger controls you or serves you. If you've made it this far, it means you're serious about mastering yourself. But understanding is nothing without practice. Hit that like button so this message reaches more people, and commit right now to trying the pause in the next moment that tests you. Transmuting fire anger is energy. You can't destroy it. You can only redirect it. That surge of adrenaline, use it to stand your ground in a difficult conversation without losing your temper. That urge to shout, channel it into writing, art, exercise. Like a blacksmith, you can shape the heat into something useful or let it burn everything around you. And the forge for that transformation is stillness. The fortress of stillness. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of control. When you stand still inside, no matter the chaos outside, you create a fortress that cannot be breached. Stillness does not mean you ignore the problem. It means you choose the timing and manner of your response. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, "He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. The angry man fights on impulse. The still man fights on advantage. Stillness is the cool hand that pulls you back from the cliff's edge, reminding you that battles won in rage often come with wounds that never heal. But how do you keep that fortress strong when the world keeps pounding on its gates? You guard the doors of your mind. Guarding the gates. Your mind has gates, and every conversation, headline, and tweet is a knock at those gates. If you let in every opinion, insult, and rumor, your mind becomes a noisy market instead of a temple. Guarding the gates means choosing what enters, avoiding pointless arguments online, refusing to dwell on gossip, letting insults pass by like wind through an open window. As the Stoics taught, you become what you give your attention to. If your attention is a kingdom, why give away its throne room to your enemies? Once the gates are guarded, the next step is sharpening the sword of awareness. The sword of awareness is a blade that cuts through illusion. When you're aware, you notice the rise of anger before it takes the throne. Without awareness, you are a puppet to every emotion that tugs your strings. With awareness, you see the strings before they pull. This is why monks and martial artists train for decades, not just for skill, but for presence. A mind in the present cannot be ambushed by emotions from the past or fears of the future. But awareness alone is not enough. You must also learn the art of release. The art of release anger lingers when we feed it, when we replay the offense over and over like a bad movie. The art of release is choosing to put down the weight before it breaks your back. Think of your mind as a river. If you keep throwing stones of resentment into it, the flow becomes blocked. Release is removing those stones one by one until the water runs clear again. Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Release is not for them, It's for you. And once you've released the past, you must master the present through the breath. Breath, the anchor of the soul. When anger rises, the breath shortens. The heart races. This is your body telling you a storm is coming. By deepening your breath, you slow your heart, calm your nervous system, and reclaim control from the amygdala. Inhale deeply. Hold. Exhale slowly. 3 times. Anywhere. Anytime. Samurai warriors were trained to breathe before drawing the sword, not to delay action, but to ensure the first strike came from clarity, not chaos. Breath anchors you, but to keep the ship steady, you must also set your course. The North Star Principle. Without a guiding principle, every offense feels like a call to battle. Your North Star is the value you refuse to compromise. Patience, peace, self-mastery. When insulted, ask, does this take me closer to or farther from my North Star? If it pulls you away, let it go. It is not your path. As Confucius said, when anger rises, think of the consequences. Your North Star reminds you that the battle is rarely worth the kingdom you might lose. But a North Star needs a compass, and that compass is perspective. The view from above. Imagine rising above your life, seeing yourself from 1,000 feet in the air. The driver who cut you off, a speck in a river of cars, the insult from a coworker, a whisper in the vast theater of your life. Perspective shrinks anger to its true size. Most of the time, it is smaller than you think and not worth the fire you give it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, reminding himself that soon, both he and the person who offended him would be dust in the wind. With perspective, you gain peace, but to keep it, you must practice restraint. The power of withholding. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every urge needs to be acted on. Withholding is not weakness, it is refinement. It is the archer who waits for the perfect shot instead of firing wildly. In arguments, silence can be more powerful than words. It allows the other person's fire to burn out while yours never catches. But silence is not enough. You must also learn how to transform the heat itself. The alchemy of action. Anger is wasted if it dies in the cage of your chest. Transmute it. Use the energy to fuel a workout, finish a project, clean your home, create art. Every great warrior, artist, and leader has known this. The same fire that can burn you can forge you. Muhammad Ali once said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. Your training is how you turn rage into resolve. But no mastery is complete without testing it in the real world. Trials by fire. You will not master anger in theory. You will master it in the moments you are most tested. The slow clerk at the store, the snide remark at dinner, the unfair criticism at work. These are your dojos. They are not interruptions to your practice. They are the practice. When the test comes, welcome it. It is the weight that makes you stronger. And the ultimate test is when the fire comes from those closest to you. The circle of fire strangers may offend you, but loved ones can wound you deeply. This is because your attachments are strongest here, your expectations highest. In these moments, remember, you love the person more than you hate the moment. Protect the bond, not the battle. Seneca wrote, how much better to heal than to seek revenge from injury. Choosing peace in your inner circle turns enemies into allies and prevents regret that lasts a lifetime. And when all the lessons come together, you reach the summit. The unshakable. The unshakable person is not emotionless. They feel deeply but are ruled by none of it. They can stand in the storm, smile, and choose their path with steady feet. You become unshakable when you no longer let anger choose your words, your tone, or your actions. When you are the mountain and the storm passes by. He who angers you conquers you. Elizabeth Kenny. Let no one conquer you. Let no one take the kingdom of your mind. Closing thoughts. The last ember. Anger will still visit you. It will knock on your door in the form of insult, disrespect, and frustration. But now you know its tricks. You know the pause, the breath, the perspective. the release. You can feel the ember without letting it burn the forest. Mastering anger is not about becoming untouchable, it's about becoming unshakable. And when you are unshakable, nothing in this world can truly defeat you. If you're ready to walk this path daily, subscribe, share this message, and be the example of strength this world needs. Your calm is your crown. Wear it well.